Hello, kitty cats, and welcome back to episode 19 of Tails and Tassels, the show where you learn about the lives of burlesque and nightlife performers, their craft, their cats, and how the two worlds intertwine. I'm your host. I'm Gemma Smith. By day, I work at a kitten nursery, and by night, I host the Catbaret, New York City's cat-themed variety show. And I'm so excited because today we have our very first magician on the pod. In today's episode, I'm joined by the one and only Rogue, a comedy magician and mentalist with over 35 years of experience. Rogue has performed around the world, across Hong Kong, China, Italy, England, and Thailand, and even appeared on America's Got Talent and Italy's Got Talent. And what's even better than that, he's performed at the Catbaret here in New York City at Caveat. With a fascinating mix of magic, comedy, and mystery, Rogue shares insights from his unique career, the joy of animals, and his journey falling in love with magic. There's a lot to take away from this conversation, the power of storytelling to the magic of bringing joy to others. Before we dive in, I do want to take a moment to acknowledge all of you listeners. Thank you so much for being here. Can you believe this is episode 19 of the pod? I started in October 2024 with just episodes every other week. Decided to try out solo episodes in between my guest interviews. It's been going smoothly, and I'm really excited to keep it going. However, I will need to take a little break. So episode 22, just a few more episodes after this, will be the finale for season 1. And that will be a solo episode where I'll be answering your burning questions. Anything you want to know more about, interviews or conversations that sparked your interest, feedback from a prior episode, questions for me personally about producing shows here in New York City or about my podcast learnings. I'm here for it. I'd love to get your feedback, thoughts. You could send a voice memo or just an email to tailsandtasselspod@gmail.com or a direct message on Instagram at Tails and Tassels Pod. I'm here for it. I'm really excited about the final episode to wrap up the season and reflect on this journey so far. And I'm going to do a bit of a marketing push, regroup for season 2. You know, I love highlighting performers from the Catbaret that I've worked with, and I want to share their insights and their career journeys and their love for cats with all of you. And also, I've started connecting with performers across the country who also produce cat-themed burlesque shows or fundraisers for rescues. And there are performers who love cats who I just haven't met personally yet, but I would love to feature them on the pod and share what they're doing. So I'm really excited about growing season 2 and starting to do some outreach to guests outside my personal network. You know, I've been playing it a little safe with mostly everyone I've interviewed or folks I already know in some way. So I'm looking forward to expanding my reach. So stay tuned for that. Let's dive into my conversation with Rogue. Okay, kitty cats, today I'm positively thrilled to chat with Tails and Tassels' very first magician and mentalist, Rogue. He was part of Catbaret's Meowloween show and wowed audiences. So I'm really excited for you to hear his journey today, his craft, and all about his cat. Thank you so much for being here, Rogue.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so I would love to learn a little bit about your story. I think I saw you perform a couple years ago at a magic show, and I thought, ooh, he would be great for Catbaret. I wonder if he loves cats, which I'm glad you do.
Oh, my goodness. I do.
But I don't really know a lot about what inspired you to become a magician. So how did you discover your passion for magic and mentalism? Was there a specific moment that sparked your interest?
So my story goes back till when I was like 6 or 7 years old. I saw David Copperfield, the famous magician on TV, make the Statue of Liberty disappear. And that was basically it for me. I was thinking as this little kid that if I could do that for the rest of my life, that would be amazing. And I just never, how do you call it, thought twice about learning and performing. Yeah, I went to the library, got a bunch of books, started studying, put on free shows for my family and friends. I invited them over to my basement. It was crazy. Yeah, talent shows. Yeah.
I love that of course it makes sense. When I was a kid too, I was always inspired or like intrigued when I saw things of that nature, like on TV, David Copperfield. So
hmm
were you like, an elementary school child and you were going to the library putting on shows? It started all the way back then.
It did. It did. I was this really shy kid though. And this actually broke me out of my shell because I was practicing in the house. And the magic is not like collecting comic books or stamps. You have to go out there and perform for real people. So I was forced to go out there as a kid and handshaking and everything. It was crazy.
What what great exposure for like public speaking and building confidence. A lot of kids could probably really benefit from it. And that's funny, you were so passionate about it, but you had to overcome this big fear.
Yep, yep. I mean, to this day, I'm not really comfortable with public speaking, but this hobby of mine, this career actually gives me a lot of confidence because if I'm talking to somebody, I could just take out something to show them really quick and it breaks the ice and then it makes it easier for me to communicate with the people. It's
Well,
amazing. Yeah, yeah, it really is.
brings people together, I'm sure.
hmm
When did you start actually? So first you started like we do as kids, because I put on shows, not magic
hmm
shows. Maybe I was tap dancing for my
Nice.
parents.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, when did it start for you where you were actually being in shows? I don't know if you were already in a city where there was access to magic shows. Like, what was that like as you got older, maybe teenager to young adult?
So the performing started really, really quickly. Like 8, 9 years old, I was putting on shows, like I said. And then when I was an early teen, I would go to the magic shows and stuff like that. And here's a really funny story. My uncle is he's a devout Christian, and he actually became a pastor. So when I was a kid, I would say like 8 or 9 years old, he brought me to church to get to know God more. And there was how do you call it? One of those gospel magicians.
Hmm.
So he tells me this story occasionally. He was like, instead of getting closer to God, I actually got closer to my craft.
It did something really positive for you. I mean,
It
this is
did,
your
yeah,
passion.
yeah. That really lit up my passion when I saw that how do you call it, that gospel magician live. That really inspired me even more so than David Copperfield because he was right there in front of me. Yeah, it
Oh,
was
yeah, you
amazing.
got to see it live and up close, which
hmm
is a new experience. And for our
Yeah,
listeners,
yeah.
Rogue is wearing a hat that says magic. So this is something that he is super passionate. He mentioned to me about bringing awareness to the craft and the community. I really love that you mentioned that. Can you share now a little bit about your approach as someone who's been practicing for, you said over 35 years? How do you approach creating new routines? What's your creative process like?
That's a great question, actually. So I feel that when I'm not like how do you call it on par, like let's say if I get off on the wrong side of the bed, I can't create. I have to be in the zone, if that makes sense. So if I'm trying to create something and it's blocking, nothing's coming out, I just give it up. It's not the right day or time for it. So everything comes naturally to me. Yeah.
I like that because,
hmm
it's hard to force something when you're not feeling it or you're not in the right headspace. And it's sometimes you just get more frustrated. Or I know from my experience, if I'm trying to do something, it's best to walk away and like come back to it when I'm feeling like a spark of inspiration.
hmm
So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, you can't force creativity. Yeah, can't. So basically, when I'm like I have a blockage, I would practice stuff that I already do, and through the older routines, it sparks like creativity, if that makes sense. Yep.
Yeah, it's like
hmm
focusing on things that you're already doing just to be doing something that might bring about something new. And you probably have, because you perform in all different shows, all at different types of venues, do you have like a repertoire and then you choose different different acts based on the show that you're performing in, I'm guessing. Can you talk a little more about that process?
Yes, actually, every show I do is actually customized to the client. So if it's a corporate show, it'll be something to do with their brand or what they sell. If it's a birthday show, I always focus on the birthday kid or the adult, stuff like that, basically. Adults I do mostly mind reading because they really love that kind of stuff. And older kids like mind reading too. And for the little kiddies, I like producing the animals and colorful flowers and silks and things that they could relate to, like Rubik's cubes and stuff like that, candy, lollipops.
That makes sense. Yes,
Hmm.
you perform for such a vast array of different types of audiences. So yeah, you have to change it up. I like that that makes sense to
Hmm.
me. And speaking of a very specific type of show, you performed at Catbaret, my cat themed variety show.
So much fun.
Yeah, and that must have been different from other gigs because it's a very
Absolutely.
and not everyone. I tell all my performers, like, look, I don't expect everything you do to be just cat themed because I know that's very, very niche. So I love that the big trick is that what it would be called? The big
Yeah,
re-
the closer. Yeah.
yes, I'm learning the lingo. The closer really had to do with animals. And so I don't know how much you want to speak to that, but yeah, if you want to share a little bit with our listeners who weren't there and tease that closer a little bit with them, that would be awesome.
Okay, so when you approached me, I was like, I love cats, but I don't have any routines to do with cats per se. And then I was just racking my brain, like, I came up with this routine like maybe like a decade ago, the routine that I did for you guys. And I was like, wow, it doesn't have to do with cats, but I don't know. I don't want to reveal the trick.
You don't have to reveal it. I respect your artistry.
Yeah, yeah. But it's a bunch of animals and they pick any animal and it ends up in this box. And the animal that the girl picked has to do with cats, theoretically. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and it was the perfect reveal. She was a great also person for you to pick.
Oh, perfect. Yep.
I can imagine how that makes or breaks a performance sometimes or can enhance it if the person you pick is really more of a willing participant and actually like excited about it. Have you noticed that? Like she was excited about the animal for our listeners. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. There have been like volunteers that were nonchalant, and there's a funny story. One time I did the trick, and the girl on stage, because it's supposed to be like almost like a gag and then also a magic trick. So when she reached in, she actually picked up the whatever, the rat, and she was like, "Oh, so cute." It kind of like it was cool because how did the rat end up in the box? But at the same time, it's better if she was more like afraid of the animal popping out. I don't know. I didn't expect that to take it out and say, "Oh, how cute."
I can totally see how the other reaction would be absolutely hilarious. We got some great photos of her with her mouth like a gag, but you're right. And then she held it. I guess only at like an animal themed show, you're going to get someone who is excited.
Yeah. No, but 99% of the time they jump back or they're in shock. That's the reaction I'm looking for. Not,
Yes.
picking up and say, "Oh, how cute."
Even I probably would have jumped back and been in
Yeah,
shock
yeah.
myself. I think she was definitely surprised, but fell in love with your.
Yes.
Is that your pet?
Yes. Yes. She is my pet actually.
I love it. Well,
She's
of
awesome.
course. She should be,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. Hmm.
And we're going to get a little more into your animals and your pets in a moment. But I would love to know what you mentioned before about community and magician. I think we were talking before the podcast started. And I just really like that because I like building like community through Cabaret, through this podcast, getting to know and promote other performers. What is the vibe here like in New York City or within the magician community? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty close knit. Everybody really knows everybody else. And there's always things going on, whether it's like a how do you call it, a show or a powwow. People get together, session, trade secrets. It's pretty cool. And I actually started a version of that, I would say a couple of decades ago. because I opened up a magic shop in Queens, which ran till 2018. Yeah, it was just tough. After like 18 years, it had to go down because the rent kept going up. I was on Queens Boulevard, and I don't know, everything was going online, so too much competition. Even Spencer's gave me a lot of competition because they sold a lot of the prank stuff that I was selling, like the Airzukas and the farting gum, all
Oh
that
my.
fun stuff. Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that about you. I didn't know you said you owned a magic store for 18 years.
Yes, 18 years.
That's like a huge accomplishment. That's really cool. Even though I know it's probably sad that things change, but that's still probably a really beautiful time in your life where a lot of people came together.
Yeah, it was amazing. The stories that came out of that store. They made a couple of documentaries on the shop.
Oh my gosh, what can you give us a name? I'm going to put it in the show notes.
Absolutely. One of them is from Bacardi, the spirit company. Um, they shot a 7-minute documentary on YouTube. It's called Magic Man, and
Wow.
basically it was called Irrepressible Spirit. I think it was about 20 individuals from all over the world that followed their passion no matter what. And I was selected as one of them, so I was really honored.
Oh, that's so amazing. And speaking of things, so I'll definitely put that in the show notes. And before we move on to the animal cat segment of the interview, I do want to say I'll be, reading your bio at the beginning of this intro of this podcast interview, and I know you've done a lot of really exciting things in your career. What are a couple of the highlights that stand out to you?
I would say the Magic Shop, and then my how do you call it, my stint on America's Got Talent. I did a couple of
Yes.
I did a couple of rounds there, starting with the Russian roulette with staple guns with Mel B, and then that brought me around the world. I just came back from Romania like 8 months ago. Uh, I was on Romania's Got Talent, and then a few years ago I was on Italy's version. Um, what's that called? Tu si que vales, I think it's called. Yep. It was an amazing journey actually, and
That's quite a
uh,
journey.
and then a couple of documentaries. The other one's actually even crazier. It's called Magic Misdirection. Is the full length film. Is about 2 hours long, and it's basically a longer version of Magic Man. It was produced by Matt Spurlock. I don't know if you remember him from Super Size Me.
Okay, yeah, the name rings a bell.
He actually recently passed, but the narration was done by Common, the actor slash
Yeah.
rapper.
Yeah.
So that was pretty crazy. And it basically followed the magic shop and two of the guys that grew up there that got off the streets. One was a gang member. The other was really into like heavy drugs and stuff like that. It was incredible. So basically, it's about the magic saving their lives.
That's
So
so touching.
it's great. It's great. Yeah, it really is.
So you've made a really, really positive impact on people's lives. That's
Yeah,
huge.
just following my passion.
That's really inspiring that like we can follow our own passion, even if it, no matter what it is, it doesn't have to be like, I'm volunteering with people. It could be, I'm doing this podcast, you're a magician. And
hmm
through that, we can do really positive things and help people too.
No, this is true. I'm sure
Yeah.
that your shows have, like inspired people to perform, or maybe just people coming to see your show. Maybe they had a bad day, but the show
Yeah.
made them smile or laugh. It's really, really important in life, entertainment. Amazing.
I, I agree with
Yeah.
you. Just providing like a
hmm
safe, fun space.
hmm
And
hmm
I feel really impressed that we had you. I remember reading your bio. I was like, oh my gosh, America's Got Talent. I'll have to find a way to link that as well in the
It's
show
awesome.
notes. And now kind of okay, so we've learned a bit about your craft, your journey as a magician and mentalist. And we know that you have a cat, and we know you also have other pets. So I know you have a variety of pets or animals in your life. How do they influence your creativity or just help you unwind from the demands of performing?
Okay, that's a great question.
And
So I
you could
love,
introduce them if you want, like their names.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So I love animals, and believe it or not, when you have animals in your show, you could charge more. So it's a win-win for me. I use mostly Coco. That's the bunny rabbit. She's a Netherland dwarf, so she's really really small. She doesn't grow really large. Molly is the rat that you met at the show. Cleo's the kitty that's sleeping right next to me right here.
Oh.
Yeah, maybe we could
Yeah, let me, yeah, go show her. I know cats are their own little stars. Oh, Cleo. Hi, Cleo.
want to be in the show? Want to be in the show?
Oh,
Okay.
she's beautiful.
No,
Little,
she
she's
is.
a little gray striped tabby
Mm-hmm.
for everyone.
She's Egyptian Mao.
Oh, thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
She's a
yeah, yeah.
special, she's a special
Yeah,
breed. I couldn't even see that closely.
yeah. She's like she's really bougie. No.
Yeah, she is very striped. Like I just saw the
Yeah.
stripes and I was like, "Oh, she must be a tabby because that's what everyone has, an Egyptian Mao." So what makes her what are typical quirks or personality like of that breed? I'm not as familiar with.
Oh, they're very, very close to their owners and stuff like that. They love people and they love kids. Yeah, they're just really awesome. Yeah.
Nice.
hmm
And so how long have you had Cleo?
Cleo is 7 years old. Because I remember that because she's 1 year older than my youngest son. He's 6.
Oh.
Yeah, and they both have the exact same birthdays.
Oh my gosh, that's wild.
Yes,
What's
yeah.
the is it coming up? Is it
September 14th. That's the reason why I got her, actually. I was like, wow, say no more. Same birthday? Let me get that cat.
Yeah, it's meant to be.
hmm
Absolutely.
hmm
And okay, so you've had her though since she was a kitten?
Yes. Yeah. You might hear Charlie in the background. That's the Quaker parrot. She's a talkaholic.
Wow, I'm sorry. I thought that was it. I didn't know you kept going. Okay, so you have Charlie a parrot.
Yep, Charlie the parrot. I have in my bedroom I have a beta fish. His name is Red Pool, based on Deadpool.
Yeah.
I use him in I use him in the shows occasionally. And then the dove. Her name is Adonis. He's in the show too sometimes. Yeah.
I feel like you got to have a dove. That a dove and a rabbit. Those two, don't they seem like they're the like
Yes,
standards?
yes, magic show animals. And I've had so many more animals, but they're no longer with me. I either gave them away or they passed. Yeah, I think I've downsized a lot. It's too much
Wow.
work, too much work. At one time, I had like 20 animals.
That's amazing. Oh my gosh. And how do they get along? Do any get along with each other better than others?
So they're all in cages, or fish tank, except for Cleo. Cleo doesn't terrorize them, fortunately. She goes up to the cages and bumps noses with them, so it's all good.
Oh, oh, that's
Yeah,
so
yeah.
good. Okay, that's nice to hear.
hmm
And your
Yeah, yeah.
parrot, does your parrot sound just like you? Because I know a lot of birds sound like their owners, or is that not true?
What do you mean by sound like me? Like
Okay,
talks like me?
yeah, my sister-in-law and my brother, they had an African gray, but it sounded like the voice weirdly sounded like my sister-in-law. So I didn't know if that's like a thing.
So I've been trying to get her to talk, but she hasn't really said much yet, except for laughing. Like she mocks my laughter sometimes.
Very mocking, yeah.
Yeah, yes,
That's funny.
very funny, very funny. Mhm.
And so with Cleo, how does she do with, I guess, if you're practicing your routines at home? Like, is she more chill? Like, what's her vibe when you're trying to work?
So when I'm practicing stuff, she's always, in front of me, and when I'm filming stuff, she's always in the background looking as well. So she's very curious, of course. Cats are curious, and especially when I'm building something, like when I'm building cabinets, she's always like sitting on whatever I need to use. It's hilarious.
Oh, oh,
hmm
she seems like a very sweet kitty. Is there anything else
She
about
is.
her, like personality or quirks, that you find unique?
Yes, she's the only cat because I've had cats throughout my whole life. She's the only one that lays on my chest, in the night when I'm watching a movie, and I know that when the alarm goes off, she wakes me up. She goes on top of me like, "You wake up already." Yeah, I've never had cats that do that, so it's cool.
That is really cool. Yeah, I have two
hmm
cats, and they only do that. Only one of them does that when she's like really hungry. It's not just to
Oh,
be
okay.
sweet. So
Got
I
it,
mean,
got it.
I
Makes
love
sense.
my
Yeah.
cats, but I do envy that she's like a not a lap
Yeah.
cat, a chest cat.
Yeah, 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 yeah. No, she sits on laps too. She's cool. She's very, very, how do you call it? Interactive. Yeah,
Yeah, she wants to be
definitely.
near you.
Yes, 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 yes. Yep, cuddling. Yep.
And
Hmm.
can you mention, has she ever been involved otherwise in any of your art? I know cats aren't as easy to, I mean, she's not like I feel like a bunny, a dove, they're easier to probably be part of your routines.
No, I never thought about it because I don't think she would want to be in a box or anything. Yeah.
I like that
No.
about you.
Yeah, no, she wouldn't. She wouldn't.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm the same way. My cats, they're not interested, but it's nice enough
No.
just having them like around when I'm working on
Hmm.
things or like inspiring. Like for Catbaret, they're the inspiration, but they would never come to an event. I don't want to stress my cats out.
Exactly. She's more of a friend,
Yeah.
than a pet, Yeah.
And
Hmm.
you mentioned earlier she likes to like be near you. Are there any
Hmm.
other special rituals or daily routines that Cleo likes?
She likes playing with her toy. This toy that I got her a while back. It's like this electronic thing that wiggles and stuff. She loves it. She
Oh,
plays with it. She plays with it every day.
does it wiggle on the floor or on the wall?
Yes, on the floor. So basically, it wiggles around, then it stops. Wiggles again, then it stops.
I got a snake like
Yep.
that for my cats, and they were into
Hmm.
it at first. It also like stops, and then if they touch it, it'll wiggle. But then they get bored with it, so I might ask you which one you have later. I'll email
Uh,
you and give it
I
a
could show
try.
I
Oh
could show
yeah,
you right now if you want.
yeah.
Yeah. So this
Oh, that's cool.
electronic base, it's off right now, but when it's on, it spins and this wiggles. And it has like a little bell here and a ball, but it comes with accessories. You could attach like a little butterfly on it or a feather, which she already ripped off already. So I think this is safer. So, see, there's a feather that used to be on there. And then she's looking at me right now. Yes, I'm playing with your toy, Cleo. So yeah, when you turn it on, it wiggles for like 5 minutes and then it stops. And then it waits for another 15 minutes and wiggles again so she doesn't get bored.
Oh, I
It's so
love
it's
that.
pretty,
Yeah.
it's so good. It's so good.
Okay,
Hmm.
yes, I'm gonna get something like that. I like that there's the base and then the long string because
Hmm.
I know they like wand toys, and I try to
Yep.
be interactive and play with them, but we're busy. Sometimes we're in a rush. We want, like for me, I like that because they don't get
Hmm.
bored with it. It mixes it up.
Exactly. Yes. Like they have it on Amazon. I'll send you a link if you need one also.
Yeah, I'll put it in the show
Hmm.
notes for our
Yes.
listeners if they want Cleo's
Because,
favorite cat toy.
because this is the only toy that she has that she consistently plays with and it's been over a year already.
Oh
So
my God, that's a big win.
it's a good one. It's a good one. Yeah. Other stuff she, gets bored and she doesn't touch it anymore. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
absolutely. Okay, so it sounds like Cleo and all of your pets coexist peacefully. And so now it's a time of the episode we've learned about your craft, your cat, and animals. It's time to share a piece of advice or a favorite tip for fellow performers and or cat parents. It could be whichever tip, it could apply to performers or cat parents or both,
Hmm.
or a couple
Cat
tips.
Couple of tips actually. Very importantly, there are fellow performers that I know that actually get kind of like get away from the art because they're like bored of it or whatever. So my advice to them is usually you have to sometimes when you do something for such a long time, you have to recreate yourself, like do a new routine or step outside the box and do a different kind of show and not just do the same kind of show. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense because we can get kind of, like you said, if you're
Burnt
feeling
out,
bored,
burnt out. Burnt out. Yep.
yeah, sometimes it's nice to take a break and come back to it fresh or try
Hmm.
something different.
Exactly. Do a new routine, find a new audience, whatever it might be, or maybe find out a new way to promote yourself, maybe, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And curious, looking forward, I want to make sure our guests follow you and everything you're up to. And I know you're at Rogue Magic on
Hmm.
social media.
Yep.
And then is it roguethemagician.com, your website?
Yes. 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 Perfect. Yep.
Perfect. So that'll also be listed in the show notes because you all need to follow Rogue, especially if you live in New York City. He's got gigs going all the time. And then sometimes you travel, right? I've seen that you go to Atlantic City.
Vegas, all over actually. Yeah.
Oh,
Florida. Yep.
ooh, nice. Okay. So you've got
Hmm.
to follow Rogue and make sure to stay connected, see what he's up to. And he'll probably be at another cat beret at some point in the future.
Yes, can't wait. That'll be fun.
Thank you
Yep.
so much for being here today. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome, Gemma. I had a great time actually.
Oh,
Yep.
good. Okay.
Before
Yeah.
you leave,
Yeah.
this is kind of weird. You don't play cards that often, right, Gemma?
Oh, okay. I do. I love this. I don't play cards that often.
I knew that. So you probably don't have a favorite card, right?
I don't.
Good. This makes it better because if you had a favorite card, maybe I would, find out about your favorite card because I know you're on social media. I might, pick up things. So if there's no favorite card, this would be totally random if I told you if I asked you to name any playing card, right? Yes?
Yes, it would be totally
Okay.
random.
So
I'm
I'm
nervous.
committed. I'm committing myself. I have a deck of cards here. All right.
Okay.
Make sure it doesn't leave your sight.
Okay.
I want you, whenever you're ready, to name out loud the first playing card that comes to your mind.
Okay.
Any playing card you want. Value, suit, and color.
A four of hearts.
The four of hearts.
Yeah.
Do you want to change your mind, Gemma?
No, that really the first one that came to my mind, and I don't know why, so I'll keep it.
Okay. All right. This is kind of weird because look, make sure I don't cheat, all right? I'm going to take out the cards very, very, very slowly. Okay.
Okay.
This is kind of weird because you see the cards?
Yeah.
You see all these cards, right? They're all facing you, yes?
Yes, I see
I'm
them.
going to show it very slowly. So there's no cheating going on. This is the weirdest thing ever. Okay. Because I have here, right here, hidden right behind here, Gemma, there's one card that's facing the other way. Yes or no?
Yes, there's one card facing the other way.
Only one card. I put this facing the other way before I even talked to you.
Okay.
If this is the four of hearts, would that be insane?
That would be insane. I wasn't expecting this magic trick, and I love it.
What if it's close? No, I'm just kidding. Bang on.
Wow, what the heck? That was awesome. Okay, this will definitely be a video clip on the YouTube. It's the Four of Hearts. I love that you left us with that, and that's going to be really fun to share with our listeners
Gemma,
on socials.
I can't do a video without showing what I do.
I love that. Yeah, my mind is blown. I always love magic and mentalism, and so it's been such a pleasure to have you here and that you're spreading this.
Oh, yeah, it's fun. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, thank you.
And that's a wrap for this episode of Tails and Tassels. So if you have any questions, comments, or just want to say meow, feel free to send us an email at tailsandtasselspod@gmail.com. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast. Also, join our community on Instagram at Tails and Tassels Pod for more updates and behind-the-scenes fun. See you next time, kitty cats!